Now, let's take a look at how to build the cause and effect arrows. Now, it's arguable that the cause and effect arrows might be the most important part of a strategy map. The cause and effect arrows show how the objectives we're working on contribute to other objectives and the overall success of the organization. It's this linkage that's the hypothesis that management has when it comes forward with its strategy. If you're a parent, you have the hypothesis that if our children get a great education, it puts them in position to lead a better life. So it's a hypothesis, and the objective of helping our children get a great education is contributing to them having an overall wonderful life. At the end of the day, we're more concerned about them having a wonderful life perhaps than having an education per se. And therefore, if getting an education is not taking them that direction, we may replace that with other objectives. Or later in life, there may be other things which become more important towards contributing to a great and happy life. So in this case, we should be able to use the example that we've been working on so far, the Schoolhouse Montessori Academy, and the strategy model that we've created on the template from the previous step. Now what we want to do is understand the cause and effect relationship between these objectives. So if we start at the bottom, our hypothesis is the enablers support everything that happens above them. So we'll put a big arrow just showing that it connects everything. Now if we take a look at customer intimacy, building the community has the highest effect on connecting families. Now in truth, you could draw arrows to everything else, but the dilemma is, although all the objectives link to everything else, what we're trying to do is show the primary deliverable from each of the strategic objectives. So there certainly needs to be one arrow coming out of every strategic objective. In some cases you may have two, but try to limit it to no more than two. So product innovation. What does product innovation support? In this case, helping us connect families. It's going to support helping us make a difference, and also helping make a difference is being committed to the Montessori curriculum. Both of those things contribute to building better products and services, in this case making a difference. Making a difference in turn supports financially sound growth, as does the Montessori curriculum support enhancing what the customer sees, and in turn helping build financial growth. So in this case, again, we've tried to keep to one arrow as much as possible. In this case, I1, operational excellence, being committed to the Montessori curriculum, supports both the brand and the product. So we would organize the objectives in something like this to make it nice and simple and memorable in terms of the linkage and how things work towards success. So let's talk about the key characteristics of these arrows. First, it has to tell the overall strategy story. By the time those arrows are connected, it should form a cohesive story about our strategic intent and how we're going to get there. Secondly, they need to be simple enough that it's memorable. So try to stick to one, maybe two arrows for each strategic objective. I do know that everything really connects with everything else. After all, it is a strategy. But we're trying to find the most important, largest relationships possible. And part of the test is you should never have an arrow crossing over another arrow. If you do, it's an indication that you have too many strategic objectives. And what you might want to do is take those concepts and consolidate them into one higher level strategic objective. And most importantly, it's got to show the key relationships between the strategic objectives. There's a story about building a university, and before they paved the paths, what they first did is just laid sod down and wait to see where the students walked. And the paths that the students most walked, where the grass got killed, that's where they came in and paved the paths, so that now the most frequently traveled routes were supported with proper paths. That's what we should be doing here. What are the most frequently covered relationships? Now that we've built this, we have the strategic objectives, the arrows, and the weightings. Let's talk about the characteristics of the final strategy model. First off, it's obviously based on the number of perspectives that you have. It needs to capture the existing strategy. We'll come back later and enhance it once we have some facts and data to back up those conversations. We need to make sure that we identify the key strategic objectives, and they're telling us what is to be done, not how to do it. We need to make sure that we explain the main hypothesis of how the objectives link together to create that overall success. And we need to be clear on what the priorities are so everyone's aligned to those objectives. And therefore, it probably does not respect the organization chart. These value streams cut across the different departmental silos. Try to keep the wording simple, just 3 words. The description and metrics and so on will add the additional information that's needed later. And finally, it's got to be memorable. I think a good test for a strategy model is you should be able to draw it in the steam in the mirror after your shower in the morning. And I say that because you've got no pockets to keep those cheat sheets in. And secondly, you have a font size issue. There's only so much you can write on that mirror with your stubby finger. So if it's not memorable, if it's not top of mind, if it's not simple, it's not going to be executed day to day.